Hey guys. Sorry if I look like crap. I literally just woke up. I didn't really feel like getting prettied up for this kind of video. Because it's just not necessary. I have an update, obviously, on my dog's condition. I'll just go on with the entire story of what happened. So my dad took Jackson, who he's completely fine, by the way. He wasn't affected in any way, shape, or form. But unfortunately, Chloe was, because my dad took them out on a walk, and a German Shepherd was walking with young children, and he didn't even have a leash. The young children, who weren't even strong enough to handle a dog that size, was holding him by his harness. And because the children were, I think they're roughly around the ages 7 to 10, they let go of his harness and he ran straight for Chloe. And Jackson, of course, but Chloe's the female and he's a male, so you kind of have to put two and two together, because that's just how dogs work. So he ran straight to Jackson and Chloe. My dad was able to save Jackson, but by the time Jackson was safe, Chloe was already being mauled. So what she did was she eventually was able to escape him, and she ran straight for the ditch. And the ditch has like really tall grass. It's roughly like 6 feet tall. So she hid there. And because the grass is so tall and she's a tiny dog, she was hidden pretty darn well. And the dog couldn't find her. So while the dog was busy looking for Chloe, 3 men had to try and grab that dog. 3 men, that's how strong it was. And children were out walking it without a leash. And I know someone from the fire department came and helped. Some neighbors heard my dad screaming for help, and they came running and tried to help. So that dog was strong for 3 men to try and pull away from my dog. So Chloe was obviously very weak, and she was bleeding all over, and she was laying in the tall grass, and my dad had to literally look around for her because she blended in so well. But he did find her, and he raced her home with Jackson, of course. And they did get, when they got home, my dad was covered in blood, and not his own, but he was covered in Chloe's blood, and he was holding her. I told him to lay Chloe on the floor, and we did. Well, he did. And while he was washing up, I ran to grab a towel, and I wrapped Chloe gently in the towel because she was feeling a lot of pain. And she was so weak, she was sitting, and then she just flopped on the ground after, because she just felt so weak and it wasn't so much pain. So unfortunately, this happened roughly around 8:30 in the evening, and all the vets were closed, including hers. Because like I said, if you see my day in life video, she has epilepsy, so she was taking medication. And we got the meds, and we got her diagnosed with epilepsy at her normal vet that she always goes to. But at the time when this happened, that vet was closed. And it took so long. There's not many vets out there that are open for 24 hours, but we did eventually find one. So we rushed her there. And the vet itself, the building was closed, but there was a veterinarian who was on call for emergencies. So she was called, and she rushed over to the building, and she helped Chloe as best she could. She wanted to do an x-ray, but Chloe was in so much pain, they just couldn't move her. They did give her a lot of pain medication, and they put her on an IV. So she was hooked up to fluids. And because we couldn't get an x-ray because we just couldn't move her, we did the next best thing. She got an ultrasound. So from the ultrasound, what that showed was her intestines were out of place, and her muscles were torn. And that's all they thought it was. Well, that's all the vet thought it was. But then again, it's an ultrasound. It's not necessarily as, informative as an x-ray is. But she did call a 24-hour emergency vet hospital and told them the situation and that we're going to be transporting Chloe there. So we did. The vet was nice enough to let us take one of her blankets, because Chloe was already in a towel when she came, but they put her, because the towel is full of blood, they put her on a different blanket, and they wrapped her up in that, and the vet was nice enough to let us take her to the ER in that blanket, and we did return it afterwards, so we took her to the ER. And when she got there, because of the whole coronavirus, we were not allowed to enter the building. We had to stay outside. But a vet came out to take Chloe. And I hugged her, before the vet came in, I kissed her head 100 times before they took her away. And when I watched her leave, I just bursted in tears, because I wanted to be in there with her so bad, and seeing her taken away from me in that condition was just really hard to watch. So she stayed there overnight, obviously. They did an x-ray. The x-ray showed new information that the ultrasound did not pick up. It showed that her lungs were filling up with blood. So So she was having a lot of problems breathing because of all the blood in her lungs, so they put her on oxygen. And they discussed treatment plan, and they wanted to do surgery, but they said because of her issues with breathing, it might be really bad for her to be on anesthetic. So they said they're going to wait a little bit, see what happens, because usually they said when there's blood in the lungs, usually it can repair itself. So they wanted to wait for her lungs to get a little bit more improved before they put her under anesthetic. So a few hours later, they wanted our permission to take a second x-ray. And we said, yeah, go for it, because, and they found more information that her rib cage was fractured. And that was the purpose of the second x-ray, because they couldn't really see the ribs in the first one, and they wanted to see if they were fractured or not, and they were fractured. I don't think they were broken, but they were for sure fractured. So that's put surgery even more at risk. Because what the purpose of the surgery was is all they wanted to do was put the intestine back where it belonged, because it was out of whack. But then the blood in the lungs got in the way, and now the fractured ribs are in the way of doing that. So not only would they have to fix where the intestines are, they would have to fix up her rib cage. And plus there's also the risk of her not breathing during being under the anesthetic because of the blood in her lungs. And then they also wanted to do a third x-ray, so we gave her our consent to do the third x-ray. And they also found out now that her stomach was extremely dilated. And now what that meant was her stomach kept filling up with more and more fluid, so Chloe was throwing up a lot. And at first they thought it was medication, so they gave her other meds to help with her nausea. Didn't work. She still kept throwing up regardless of how much they gave her that meds. And that was when they knew something was up, because usually this medication always works. But because it's not working, that means there's something else causing it, and it's not just nausea from medication. So that's when they did the third x-ray, and they found her stomach was dilated. So they said they could still do surgery, but fixing the intestine, the ribs, and now the stomach, and having the risk from the lungs, it was just a lot on her. And so if we were to go along with the surgery, which was overall $10,000, and we do not have that kind of money. So, but even if we did and we moved along with the surgery, she would only have 20% chance of surviving, and even if she did survive, she would still be in a lot of pain. She would still, she just wouldn't be herself anymore. And I couldn't see Chloe not herself, because Chloe had the best personality. She was so loving, she was so caring, she loved snuggles, and she just she loved people. She was scared of them at first, but when she got used to people, she loved them. She had the biggest heart. And she was so funny. She made these weird snorting noises. I don't know why, but she always did that. And she snored really loudly. And at the time it was annoying, but when I look back, I would give anything to hear her snore again like that. So we went over the options and what to do, and the vet was very honest with us. She did her job very well, and she took very good care of Chloe. But she was very honest with us and said she recommends putting her down, because, like I said, if she did have surgery and she survived from the surgery, she would never be the same. But she would never be the same from the surgery, so we decided, my parents let me make the decision, because Chloe was mainly my dog, because I loved her the most. I put the most effort into her. I took care of her the most, and I was her favorite. I was her favorite. So my parents let me make the decision on what to do next, and I said put her down, because as much as I wanted her to recover from this, I knew how much pain she would be in, and I just couldn't do that to her. I couldn't, and plus the trauma of what happened and her having to deal with it every day. She couldn't even probably go down that same street anymore, because we usually walk the dogs around the block, and we always went down that street all the time. And if we were to do that again, she would just lose it, because she's traumatized, And I couldn't do that to her. I couldn't see her live with the trauma every single day and live with the pain and just not be her anymore. So I did agree to put her down. And I was the one that got to hold her when they brought her in, because we saw her for one last time, and I was the one to hold her. And I was so distraught. I was kissing her head all the time. I was playing with her ears, because she had the most cute ears. They're so fuzzy and floppy, and I just loved to cuddle with her and feel her ears on my face. And I loved her little paws. I couldn't get enough of her little paw hanging out of the blanket. I was just so in love with it. And obviously the nurse gave us some time. She left the room. I thanked her for being the best dog I could ever ask for. She had a look of pain in her eyes. I could see it. Plus, she was very doped up from all the medication I gave her. But I can see all the pain in her eyes. And at first, I never wanted to be in the room when they actually, put her down. So I gave her to my mom, and I was gonna leave the room, but then I just couldn't leave. You know, I'm like, I can't leave. I have to stay. So I did. I changed my mind. However, because she's in so much pain, I didn't want to take her back for my mom, because passing her around all the time is it's really painful. So I just let my mom hold her for the rest of it, because as much as I did want to hold her again, I just couldn't put her in more pain than she already is in. So I had to give her so I just left her with my mom, because, you know, I didn't have the heart to just keep passing her around, you know, everybody. And she just wasn't up for it. She just wasn't in the condition for it. So I did film everything. And I'm not ready to show the videos. And even when I am ready, it'll be on my channel. It won't be on Galaxy Challengers. It'll be on my personal channel. So my personal channel is linked down below in the description. Obviously I'm not ready yet, but when I am, it'll be on there. So now they put her in like a little cardboard box, and her body is at my aunt's house right now, because we're gonna bury her in her yard. And the thing is, because our yard, we're not gonna live in this house forever, and we can't just dig up her body and take her to another place, you know. So I just didn't want to bury her in our yard, and I thought we were gonna cremate her, because we had no place to bury her. And I do prefer burying over cremation, but I was prepared to cremate her if I can't find a spot to bury her. But then my aunt, she has a huge yard. She has so much acres of land. And her boxers died. She had 2 of them. Brandy, the oldest one, she passed away from cancer. She was buried. But I think Goliath, this youngest one, he also had cancer, I think. But they didn't bury him. They cremated him because he was such a big dog. It was just really difficult. So they're like, you just cremate him because he's just really big. So they put Chloe in a box, and we're gonna bury her on Saturday, because everyone's working during the week, and my family wants to be there when she gets buried, right? Sorry. So we are waiting till Saturday. So right now she is in a box at my aunt's house. She's in a freezer, because then her body won't, you know, deteriorate and start to smell bad. And so we're keeping her body in the freezer right now. And it sounds kind of, you know, upsetting, but it's just the best for her. So we put her in there. And because she's in such a boring box, they put her in such a boring cardboard box. It's just a normal box. I thought, Chloe's not comfortable in that. You know, it doesn't suit her. She's a girl. She loves pretty things. She doesn't want to be laid down to rest in just a boring box. So I bought stickers, and I bought things to put on the box to make it look prettier. And before we bury her, I'm gonna decorate her box up and make it look pretty and make it look like something that represented Chloe, you know, because she was such a happy, fun-loving girl, and I'm like, I can't see her being put in just any box. It has to be something special, you know, for sure. So I went to the dollar store and I bought a lot of pretty stickers to put on her box. So and we're gonna pick out a rock, because near my aunt's house there's a farmer who's getting rid of a lot of rocks that are actually decent sized. So we're gonna get a few of those, and because he wants to get rid of them anyway. So we're just gonna pick out a few of those and you know, use those to put her to rest. And the spot we picked is perfect, because there's bushes around and there's 2 huge trees right beside each other. And we're gonna put her right between those 2 trees, you know. And the bushes all around the area gives me privacy, just to be with Chloe. And there's a nice little trail going in there, that area. And we were originally going to put her right beside Brandy, my aunt's boxer, but there's so many poison ivy around there, it would just be dangerous to put her there. So we found this little area, and it's perfect. Like, I think Chloe would have loved that. So we were putting her there. It's very unfortunate because, as you guys know, Amy already lost Coco. And now, only a few months later, I'm losing my dog. So at least me and Amy have each other. So me and Amy are just grieving with each other. But you know what? Chloe and Coco are up in heaven right now, running through a field and eating as many treats as possible. So whenever I'm at my down and whenever I'm missing her, I just have the image in my head of her and Coco running around in heaven, you know, playing and having fun. So Chloe is going to be having a little funeral. Because that's just the kind of person I am and what I want to do for her. Because I gave Chloe a birthday party before. In Jackson, how he is doing right now, he's doing okay. He's not really necessarily changed. He's not depressed. But I think that's only because he doesn't understand where she is. And if he understood where she is, he would be a lot more different. But he is confused, you can tell. He is very confused. He doesn't know where she is, you know. And after the incident, once Chloe was at the vet, sorry, frog in my throat. Once Chloe was at the vet, I did check all over Jackson's body to see if the dog got him even a little bit, but Jackson was completely fine. He was walking normally. There was no blood on him. There was no scars or scrapes. I mean, he was completely fine. So, you know, I didn't have to worry about him, but I did check him to make sure he was okay. But I think the dog focused more on Chloe than anything. And so what's going to happen to the dog is still a mystery. We got the bylaw officer involved because what happened could have been preventable. It could have been. So we got the bylaw officer involved. They're still talking in council to see what's going to happen to the dog. They may put it down. We don't know. But maybe I also want this to be a lesson, you know, because maybe Chloe's life was used to save a child's life, because a child could have been killed by that dog, and that's even worse. So I just like looking at it that way. I just like to see Chloe, her incident as being, I like to see her being, she was sacrificing her body for a child, you know, that's just how I like to see it. So let's just be a lesson. If you have large dogs, don't let young children walk them. Make sure they're on a leash and make sure you can handle your dog. Because if you don't, incidents like this happen and you end up hurting yourself and someone who loved their dog dearly, such as myself. So because of all this, I'm still not able to go back to making videos. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I'm still trying to process everything because it was very traumatic. So I am going to just take some more time off, but I did want to make this video to let you guys know what happened and what's going on right now. So I still have more parts of Rayman and the Raving Rabbits. I still have more parts of that to upload, but I'm just gonna, I only have 2 more parts to upload of that. And I was actually editing the 4th part that I was gonna upload when my dad rushed in and said Chloe got attacked. So just editing that video is probably gonna bring back a lot of bad things. So it's gonna take me a while, but whenever I'm back, of course I'll come back, but I'm still gonna need some time to process this. And right now with me I have Chloe's collar. This was the size for her neck. She was a big girl, and as you can tell, when she was a puppy she was teething. She chewed up her dog tag. As you can tell, it's all chewed up. I don't want to show you the back because my address and stuff are on there. But the back looks just as bad as the front. So when for Chloe's birthday, I wanted to buy her a brand new tag for her, and buy her a little special doggy treat. But unfortunately, I couldn't do that. But I do have her old one, you know. And you could tell I picked, when we got her, we got a nice little cursive font. The font with her address and stuff on it is just a normal font, because we just wanted the address part to be easy to read. But I wanted her name to be a little fancy and pretty and girly. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So Chloe will forever be in my heart. And, you know, I also have her blanket here. I actually slept with her blanket last night, because I think it still has her hair all over it. So, it just makes me feel like she's still there with me, you know. So I just slept with her blanket. And of course, it was cleaned, but the hair somehow still sticked onto it, which is a good thing, because I can have her blanket. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Jackson won't be there when we bury Chloe, because I just don't want him to, you know, smell her body and then just never be the same. Because Jackson and Chloe were both two peas in a pod, those two. They never left each other, and they always pissed each other off all the time, but they loved each other, you know. It was sweet. So, for sure, what happened was definitely very traumatic, but it is what it is. I can't change the past. I wish more than anything I could, but I can't. So it happened. Now I just gotta grieve and move on and be strong for Chloe, because Chloe was always strong for me, and now it's my turn. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you whenever I get back. Like I said, I don't know when that's gonna be, because I'm still trying to get over what happened. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.